Namaste everyone. Thank you so much for coming back to my channel. It's the Chess Puzzler, bringing the 28th puzzle theme, which is called as Korchnoi's Maneuver. Like every other maneuver, when you move your pieces in a way to exert as much pressure as possible on the opponent pieces, as well as defending and improving your own pieces, Korchnoi's Maneuver does the same. There are a few things that we need to keep in mind when we are speaking about this specific maneuver, and let us see what they are. To understand Korchnoi's maneuver, there are a few points that we need to keep in mind. The first one is if you are white with white pieces, then your bishop should be on the A2 to G8 diagonal, which is this one. And if you're black, then that's going to be completely reversed. It's going to be the A7 to G1 diagonal. The next point to remember is for the white queen to be on the B1 to H7 diagonal, or in this case, it's going to be B8 to H2 diagonal. And the final point to remember is that the H pawn should be moved. In this case, it's already moved. And if you were playing with the white pieces, then the black's H pawn has to be moved. Now let's see how to use these points to implement the Korchnoi's maneuver to improve the position and the impact of your pieces. Also, another thing to keep in mind over here is the idea behind this positioning. For example, in this case, we have black pieces. You can see that the F2 pawn is pinned. So if the queen were to be on the G3 square, then that would have been really, really nasty for white because queen being in such an aggressive position so close to the white king would not bode very well for the white pieces. Therefore, the square G3, if you are playing with black, or else G6, if you are playing with white pieces, is extremely crucial for the queen to be on. In this example as well, you'll see that black jumps to G3. The moment it gets the chance, the black will come to G3 because the F2 pawn is pinned and all the pieces are going to be very close to the white king, making it uncomfortable. King will try to move to safety, king H1, and the very important pawn on the white's king side, F2, will be captured by black. This will be followed by some defensive moves like bishop F5, while rook E2 seals the deal for black because now it has three very important pieces very close to the white king, and also the minor pieces which are trying to support and defend white king are quite useless for the moment. I'm going to present three examples, three puzzles for you to solve. I would like you to keep the three pointers that we see on the right side of the screen in mind and try to maneuver your pieces in a way that they exert maximum impact on the opponent pieces. The move that white played in this case was H3. We see that the bishop is on the desired diagonal, so is the queen, and the H pawn is moved. This is a perfect recipe for sorry. This is the perfect recipe for the Korchnoi maneuver. And black does what black should do, which is queen to G3. Why is it so bad, you ask? Because this pawn is pinned, so it cannot take back the queen, and white just lost a knight for no reason at all. White can try to push away the black bishop so as to release the pin on this pawn, but it won't work because we will do a counter attack on the white queen. Queen will take back. Now we'll take the pawn on f7, f2, sorry, which will be which will force white to take it back with the queen, and then we get another bishop for no good reason at all. Instead, white could have played a very steady game by simply improving the pieces with bishop e3, rook f to d8, rook a to d1, and so on. This would have been quite a bit more stable game, a bit more balanced game as compared to the blunder which white made by playing the move h3. Presenting the second puzzle to you. In this case, once again, it's white to move. Think of the first move that white would make and think of different options that black has to respond to that move. and get back to me as soon as you have a solution. You're right. So you see the bishop is on the desired diagonal. The queen is also on the desired diagonal. And we have a rook looking down the file where the black king resides. So what should white do? If you guessed queen to g6, then you are absolutely right. That's what white does. And black will desperately try to prevent any attack on the g7 square by bringing the knight to h5. However, a simple move like bishop d8 will give us a queen in exchange for a bishop. And then this knight is hanging as well. So instead of knight h5, black could play king h8 followed by queen g7 checkmate. Black could play king f8 followed by king f7 checkmate. This is the final puzzle for you. Once again, it's white to move. After the first and the second moves that white makes, there are a few variations that you may have to think about. So take your time, pause the video, take your time, and see how you can execute the Korchnoi's maneuver to its fullest. The first move that white plays in this case is to weaken the pawn structure around the black king. It does it by sacrificing the bishop on h6. Now, black plays knight to b6, threatening to capture the hanging bishop here. This can be ok, this can be followed by queen g6. That's the central theme of how the Korchnoi maneuver works. Now, if the knight takes, then simply we have queen g7 checkmate. So knight will not take, and instead knight will move to e8, trying to protect the g7 square. And then we'll bring in more artillery to attack the pieces around the black king, followed by an attack on the queen. But it's an empty attack because this bishop is undefended. Queen can simply take, followed by knight f6, and followed by queen g6. So we are back to the position where we are attacking this g7 square with not much of a defense that black can present. After the first move, that was bishop to h6, black could simply take the bishop on h6 as well. What would you do in this case? The idea remains the same. White will move to g6 with its queen, king h8, king takes on h6 with a check, king g8, and then we bring in the knight for the final blow. After bishop taking on h6, black could also play knight to d5, right? And that can be, so the bishop can be salvaged by bringing it back to g5. Then the knight 7 moves to b6, bishop to e2, bishop to e6, and e4. So this looks like a very balanced approach where black could have started counter attacking white's pieces in order to prevent the deadly mate threat that Korchnoi's maneuver presents. After the move queen g6 and after the move queen g6, black could have also played knight to h5. This can be followed by knight g5. Queen can take over here as well, the knight on h5, but it was not necessary as we can actually continue building up the pressure around the black king. Bishop h2 with a check, king h1, rook e8, trying to make some room for the king to escape, followed by uh, bishop f7 check, and king f8. You can see the entire pawn structure around the around the black king has been shattered, and there are so many minor pieces, minor and major pieces which are attacking the black king, which is eventually going to force the black king into submission. With that, we'll bring this video to a close. I hope you learned a lot from this one, and I encourage you to watch all the other videos that I have in this playlist of chess puzzles and also winning chess endings. That's a book written by the Grandmaster Yasser. In case if you like my content, then I encourage you to like, comment, and subscribe on my channel. And I'll see you next time with a with another puzzle theme at your disposal. Until then, it's the Chess Puzzler signing out.